This program is made possible in part thanks to generous donations from viewers like you.
Hello and welcome to the Suzanne Atwell Show. Thanks for joining us. In this episode, the Florida Culture Coast, performing arts, and a vibrant community of theater, music, and dance companies that make Sarasota unique. A story about creative expression, show business, artists, and big dreams for the future. At the height of the Roaring '20s, the Edwards Theater, now home to the Sarasota Opera, opened as a movie house. The Players Theater at Tamiami and 9th Street goes back to the 1930s. And the historic Oslo, originally an 18th century Italian theater, was bought by the Ringling Museum and opened in 1949. The same year, Sarasota Orchestra's founding company performed in public for the first time. As you can see, we have a rich history of performing arts, but we are not resting on past accomplishments. A major trend in town right now is arts companies making significant investments in real estate and new businesses. Sarasota Opera's Steinwalk's artist residence in the Rosemary District provide 30 furnished apartments for artists and staff during the fall and the winter season. They also made a major investment in a world-renowned costume collection. This will be used for future Sarasota productions, as well as providing a new revenue from rentals. Florida Studio Theater has a multi-million-dollar venture for an 11-story arts plaza that will include apartments for artists, a new main stage theater, and 200 parking spots. Sarasota Orchestra has identified a 32-acre tract on Fruitville Road where it plans to build a state-of-the-art concert hall and music center. And the mother of all performance hall plans is the Sarasota Performing Arts Center, to be built in the Bayfront Park. It will be owned by the City of Sarasota. The architect selection process has been narrowed down to 6 finalists who bring world-class experience to the table. What an exciting time. We are literally seeing the future being defined before our very eyes, from the new downtown skyline to the future of performing arts. One person leading the way forward is Sarasota Opera General Director Richard Russell. Welcome back, Richard. It's great to have you on again.
It's always great to be here, Suzanne.
We're nearing the end of the season now. How is it going at the opera? What's happening now?
You know, things are going really well right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really pleased with the amount of enthusiasm and excitement. We had a rough couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
The fall was rough because of storms and other things. Okay. So after the new year, we started to generate a lot of excitement, a lot of ticket sales, and now we are finishing our season. We have been selling out a lot of performances, which we haven't done in a long time, and it's great. Things are going really well, and we're really enthusiastic.
Okay, so the audience is back to pre-COVID levels. Has the profile of the Sarasota Opera patrons changed at all during this period?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that the audiences are back to pre-COVID levels.
Okay.
I think we are seeing, and I hate this term, but people use it a lot, a new normal. I think we're seeing some changes in our audience, and I think you're absolutely right in asking, has the profile changed? Because I think it has. Mm-hmm. First of all, this year we're seeing lots and lots of new people. Mm-hmm. We're also seeing somewhat more diverse audience, younger people, right. People from different backgrounds. I'm surprised at the number of tourists we're seeing, and people, you gauge it somehow by their dress. And a lot of very casually dressed people are coming to the opera, which I think is great.
Yes.
I'm not, I think you should come to the opera as you want to come.
Absolutely.
And not worried about how you're dressed or whether you're wearing a suit or a tie or whatever. What's important, though, is that we're seeing lots of new people, and I think that bodes well for our future. But we're not yet back to pre-pandemic levels. We're still, our season's a week shorter than it has been in the past. We're doing fewer performances. We're trying to budget conservatively as far as ticket sales are concerned, so that when we, as we come back, we're coming back strong.
Interesting, back to the dress, it's interesting when people feel that they can, the connotation of going to the opera is that you dress up in tuxes and everything, and I think that's significant. When you have a community like ours and you want to draw more people, that you can come as you are and relax and enjoy.
And that's something we've always tried to push. We've said, come as you are, come as you're comfortable. Now, interestingly, I saw a study, somebody suggested that younger people would be more likely to come if it was suggested that they, dress more casually. And actually the reverse was true, that the younger people said, it gives me permission to be fabulous.
To dress up.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Yes.
So I think that, we can't make those kinds of assumptions, but making everyone feel welcome is our goal.
Absolutely. A luxury downtown boom is happening right now, and it's bringing a lot more people to town. So we know that the performing arts and culture have a huge economic impact on employment and tourism. But it's also a reason that people move here as well. Talk to us about that.
Well, this year, 40% of our audience is brand new to us. 25% of our subscribers have not been to the opera before they came this year. So that number is huge.
Yeah.
And I am hearing every day, I heard it last night. We had a dinner last night. I'm talking to a couple. They were brand new to us. And they said, well, they actually haven't moved here yet. They're looking for a place. They're moving from Georgia, and they're moving because of the opera. There are people every day I talk to at every performance. We came to Sarasota because of the arts, the opera, the orchestra, the ballet. And that's a huge driver. And that's why I think we're seeing these big numbers as far as new people coming, that there are people who have found that Sarasota is an arts destination. It is a place for people who love the performing arts of all kinds can come, that the quality of our performing arts is really high. It's world class. And I'm talking across all the organizations. And I think that's something that maybe people don't understand as well. Lots of towns have, theaters, but nobody has the concentration of high quality artists that we have in Florida.
And a lot of people, all these downtown condominiums are going up rapidly. You're right, downtown. Location, location, location. When I think of some of the demographics of people moving here, and eventually more young people will be moving in town. So that works beautifully for you.
Absolutely. And the thing that I'm seeing more of this year than I've seen in the past are people walking past the Opera House, reading the marquee signs and walking into the box office and say, can I get tickets? Or talking to somebody outside, oh, is this a good production? I'm going to come back next week and see it. That's more and more of that's happening.
Another interesting development in Sarasota is business investments by local performing arts organizations. Sarasota Opera bought new condos in the Rosemary District, Rosemary Rising, and recently acquired a world-renowned costume rental collection. That is so exciting. Tell us more about that.
Well, one of the things that we found, well, first of all, the apartments, it was a need that we have. And thank God we have it, because of the rising rental rates in downtown Sarasota and decreasing availability. Having these 30 units has enabled us to house our artists at the height of season. And as a result, we're also earning additional revenue by renting them out to other nonprofits when we're not using them. So there's been a lot of focus about diversifying our income streams, and that's one of them. And the others is the costume rental. So we need costumes for our productions, and they cost us a certain amount of money. But the opportunity to buy this huge collection at a pretty discounted rate enabled us to expand a rental business that we had been in for years. But we've dramatically expanded the number of costumes we have. It's over 100,000 costumes, over 135 opera productions. We have also theater costumes, just, kind of general uniforms, suits, and things that a designer could come in and assemble a production for, opera or theater from our collection. So this is a way for us to generate some additional revenue and also support our mission.
This is a very exciting time for our community in general. I speak to people all the time. I'm downtown a lot. Sarasota is unique. What makes you come here? And as you said before, I come for the arts and culture. I'm even hearing, and this is important, this word, I'm hearing talk about branding. Branding us Florida's Culture Coast. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Visit Sarasota County, our Convention and Tourism Bureau, has owned the trademark for Florida's Cultural Coast for years. And we have used that on some of our materials. They have used that in some of their promotional materials. But I don't think we've gotten enough traction on it. And I think we really need to make an investment to let not only the outside world know that, but also our community know that. One of the things we found during COVID, when we were advocating for some COVID relief money, when the county got their CARES money, is that people, I don't think, really understood the economic impact of the arts on our community. We're the second largest employer. This industry is the second largest employer in Sarasota County. We create lots of jobs, millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in economic impact into this community. And I don't think in our community we're as aware of it, except for those people obviously who move here to enjoy the arts. But I also think that we've lost that edge branding us outside of our community and outside of our market. Several other communities in Florida have tried to take that mantle from us. Palm Beach County, Pinellas County, and frankly, they have more money behind them to do that.
So they use that in their marketing?
Well, they don't use Florida's Cultural Coast.
Okay.
Palm Beach County is using Florida's Cultural Capital. And Pinellas County is using something else, trying to promote their arts and culture district. They just don't have what we have. And we really need to do a better job of getting that word out outside of our community. I think we need to put some resources in it, both hopefully from our community, from the arts organizations, to really get that message across. Because, you know, lots of communities in Florida have beaches. Lots of them have spring training. Nobody has the arts community we do. I'm convinced that, we have a better and more rich community of culture and arts than Miami, than Palm Beach, and Pinellas County. We have all of these attractions, and the world should know it.
Richard is correct. The world should know it. And thanks to people like him, that is happening. Like the opera, Sarasota Orchestra is an integral part of the local art scene, making big plans for the future. We recently sat down with their Vice President of Operations. There's so much happening right now at the Sarasota Orchestra. How is the season going right now?
Oh my gosh, it's been a fantastic season. It's a sad season because this was supposed to be Bramwell Tovey's designate year as our new music director, but we dedicated the entire season to him, and he created just amazing programs, and we have had so much fun exploring them. It was Bramwell Tovey's vision to have James Ennis on one of our Masterworks performances. He's the one that brought Yo-Yo Ma here for our gala, which Peter Unjian we're so grateful that he stepped in to conduct that program. So it has been a fantastic season, a great year so far.
It's almost like it's never winding down.
Oh no, it's done. We're definitely still in mid-season.
I
think Audrey had mentioned we do maybe 100 concerts a year. So we're now at the end of March. We still have all of April to go, and we have 2 performances still in May. Then, of course, our Sarasota Music Festival takes up most of June, our Summer Music Camp for July. And then we start all over again planning for next season.
Wow.
Yeah.
The market is changing. Downtown condo boom, as you know, Lakewood Ranch. COVID is hopefully behind us. So how do you see the audiences evolving?
Oh, well, we're heading into our 75th season. So next year will be our anniversary year, 75 years, yeah. So since 1949, the Sarasota Orchestra is presenting concerts to the community. We have seen a lot of change in those 75 years, and I just see this as kind of a trajectory. This is where we're going. We're going into the future, and classical music, culture, the arts, everything that Sarasota offers, that's why people come here, and that's what we're providing. It's sort of a respite from the world, kind of hopefully a sanctuary where we can indulge our senses as human beings into the arts in such a beautiful setting of Sarasota. So
absolutely,
I don't see that changing.
Speaking of that, I have to ask you about your development plans, the move, leaving the city.
Yes.
What's the latest on that?
Well, we're getting really close. We've identified the site up on Fruitville Road. We're super excited. If you've seen the land, it's just a beautiful oasis, and it provides a platform for so much creativity. So anything is possible. We're dreaming for the future. We cannot wait to build a hall that can really showcase acoustic music. So, of course, that's the Sarasota Orchestra. Our own players will be able to actually hear what they sound like in a hall that envelops their sound and brings it to the audience. So, we're excited for the future.
That seems to be a really big part of the whole decision, the acoustics, when you're talking about an orchestra.
Absolutely. It's
Or a
like,
symphony.
yes, it's the difference between a little violin that a student plays and a Stradivarius. So we're excited. The orchestra sounds fantastic. And to actually hear them play in a hall that's like a Stradivarius violin, that's going to be amazing.
Okay, branding. We all talk about branding. Lots of cities in Florida tout their beaches and their warm weather. Our performing arts community is very unique. How does Sarasota Orchestra market that?
Oh, the Sarasota Orchestra is so fortunate to have like three arms, if you will. There's the Sarasota Orchestra, there's the Sarasota Music Festival, and then there's our education programs. So for us, with the orchestra, we bring in national, international guest artists, guest conductors, amazing performers that come from all over. Sure. And when they come to Sarasota, then they have this amazing experience with the orchestra, with our musicians, and then they go to other places in the country. And so I think they really carry the word about how phenomenal Sarasota is. So that's one way that we're part of that culture and how we bring it to how we let other people know how amazing Sarasota is. But the Sarasota Music Festival is really an international music festival. For that, there's 60 students that come. Their average age is about 23. So they're really pre-professional musicians. They're on the cusp of their careers as great artists. They come and they have an intense 3 weeks with us, and we bring 40 faculty artists that teach and mentor them. So again, those people will come here for 3 weeks, have this fantastic experience, a musical incubator, if you will, and they just grow as people, they grow as musicians, and then they carry forth that, not just the memory, but just the experience that they had in Sarasota. And that's what they think of when they go off and they start their careers. And they'll come back to Sarasota, maybe buy a condo, come back and live here. I know there are several faculty artists that have purchased land here. And from the Sarasota Music Festival, any orchestra in the United States has about 10 performers that have come through the Sarasota Music Festival. So I think that there's this huge connectivity with the Sarasota Music Festival and the rest of the nation in terms of come to Sarasota, come be a part of the arts here.
Yeah, international is the operative word here. A lot of people are moving here. When you look at some of the numbers and the demographics and what's going on with downtown development and Lakewood Ranch and everywhere, because you're going to be right up in the middle of all that, they want that international flair.
Yes.
They come to expect it. And you've met that need in a lot of ways.
Yes. Well, having Yo-Yo Ma here, I think, was about the epitome. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Well, that just stands out in the newspaper when you hear that.
Yes. And to have an orchestra that's the caliber that can attract somebody like Yo-Yo Ma, that really, I think we really have hit the peak of musical experience here. But it's not just the orchestra in Sarasota. I think what makes it so vibrant is all of the arts, the opera, the ballet, the museums, the theater. It's incredible to have all of that in one small little beautiful, beautiful community.
Absolutely. A final question as you look into the future, 5-10 years when things are set up here. Say you moved. You're all settled in. What is your unique space in the market then? When you, in 5 or 10 years, you hope there'll be a lot of changes up there.
Yes.
Lakewood Ranch will be involved. You've got close to 75 up, even Tampa, that whole area. What do you see?
So we see a lot of possibilities. So the property that we've identified on Fruitville Road, it's really a gateway, if you will, to downtown. So it creates that. But our education programs right now are Manatee County and Sarasota County, a little bit of Charlotte County. And it'll be wonderful to be sort of in the central location. So for all the families that are coming to learn classical music education, for all the programs that we put on for school students, it will be very centrally located for them. It's kind of like a straight shot from the Fruitville site to downtown, so it's very accessible, very easy for everybody to have access to this. And it is a hall, we're building an acoustic hall, which will really show off the orchestra, but it shows off, I mean, it's a space for everybody. We see it as a place for a place for the community. It's not just a place for the orchestra.
That sounds great. Any further thoughts as we wind down? There's so much going on with the orchestra.
Yeah.
What would you like to add to that?
I would add that I think the most important part about classical music is how it transforms people. So I was driving here and I was thinking, what is it about the arts, and it's that we're human beings. That's what makes human beings so special, is we love creativity. And whether it's making a sandwich in your kitchen and you get to decide what you're putting on it, that's being creative, creating beautiful music, beautiful art, dance, ballet. That's what we're here for. The arts transform human beings, and that's why it's so important.
Very important indeed, Roseanne. Which takes us to the landmark on the bay, the Van Wezel, and plans for the new Sarasota Performing Arts Center. For that, we turn to a friend of the show and a leading voice for the arts in Sarasota, Mary Benzel. We're talking about arts, culture, and the Van Wezel. You took over as executive director, I believe, in 2007.
Yes, I did.
What was it like then, and what are the biggest changes since then?
Well, it was interesting. In 2007, when I got here, there were all these articles about the Van Wezel and about, let's give more money to the police and not anything to the arts. And that, and people don't remember that. I do, and so what we did was we made a shift and changed programming, and we made the Van Wezel, hopefully a lot more successful. And people were always complaining about, oh, there's no center aisle and the acoustics and this and that. And now, it's so interesting that people are all saying, oh my God, it's this amazing theater. And so, I think it's somewhere in the middle. And, it's been very hard, Suzanne, as you know, coming out of COVID. We often talk about it in the arts groups, the major arts groups, about we're still in a COVID year because the audience isn't all back and people are still afraid. But I'm really, really hopeful for the future, and I'm joyful about the future.
Well, you brought it out of a fairly huge subsidy.
Yeah.
And you were touted for that.
Yeah, thank you.
And that was an amazing time. I remember all that. And then from then on.
Well, thankfully, we have a surplus. So when we went through this, through this COVID era, we were able to live on that. The Save Our Stages grant helped a lot, and we lobbied a lot because at one point they were going to exclude government grants because they said, oh, the governments pay for everything. Well, I haven't gotten a penny from the city or the taxpayers probably in the last 12 years, maybe 13 years. And right now, as we're still rebuilding, we're living on that nice buildup of subsidy, which helped us.
Oh, definitely. It seems that everybody in town has an opinion on the future of the Van Wezel. Tell us something that most people don't realize about the Van Wezel from the inside.
Well, from the inside, people don't recognize what happens on a daily basis. I have this amazing guy, Jerry Shepper, who runs all the maintenance plans. And right now, for example, we're operating on only one chiller, and you need two to be able to go back and forth. And getting the parts to replace it is almost impossible right now because one went down. And then we just had an incident the other day I found out about where a guy was playing the piano in a concert and the keys of the Yamaha started flying off. Because, of course, down in the basement, we have a lot of moisture because the water is coming through and everything like that.
We seem to be dealing with dueling consulting reports about what's going on inside the Van Wezel.
Well, that's not quite true because when we were starting this project, Marlon Brown, our city manager, asked me to get a report done from an engineering status as to what it would take to add more seats to the Van Wezel, because that's a big concern. Also, what it would take to waterproof the Van Wezel, because we're dealing with, like, we had a moisture test where it goes from 1 to 10, and one area of the basement is a 13 and so forth. And so the report came out, and the report said that the Van Wezel could be upgraded, but of course it was a very cursory report. But what people don't say when they use that language is that the report says you would have to lay in a new slab underneath all of the Van Wezel to be able to withstand the hydrostatic pressure, which would be attached to a 6-foot concrete wall all around the Van Wezel. Who on the bayfront wants to have a theater enclosed by a 6-foot concrete wall? Then all of our beautiful things of opening up into the Bay Park just go out the window. And the numbers that he ascribed to this project were not anything about adding a second theater, adding a educational space. We don't have a rehearsal room, all sorts of things. So, and then there is the FEMA issue where there is some debate on that as well. But I'm just looking at it from the audience standpoint, because I will not be the director of the hall then, because I sort of age out, if you will. And so I'm looking at for the kids. I'm looking for the community. This community is growing. I know what I've had to do to get shows to come here. And it's really important to me that this city, which is a city of the arts, we have an opera company, a ballet company, an orchestra. We need a beautiful, up-to-date performing arts center.
To that point, a lot of people were saying, if we have a new performing arts center, what will that mean? We still want the Van Wezel.
I want a theater that is more ADA accessible. I want one, I'm on the architect selection committee right now for the new Performing Arts Center. And, whenever I go to tour, because Joe McKenna from the orchestra and I went and toured a bunch of them earlier because we were talking about doing a joint structure, which I'm sorry didn't come together. But, I'm like, how many ladies' rooms do you have? Tell me about the aisles. How many elevators? Because these are all important. I feel like sometimes the other people on the committee can worry about the beauty and I'm looking for functionality. And can I get the show in the back door? Is the loading dock where it should be? And that's what I feel I can bring to that part of the committee. And the city hired some folks that I'm very proud to have worked with before, professional facilities management, who operate about 13 different performing arts centers around the country. And they're working with me on all sorts of different things. And they've done a report that shows the problems with the Van Wezel. And really, we hope to keep it in very common language so people can understand.
All that you've just said, obviously, as you know, arts and culture play a critical role in our economy and quality of life.
Yes.
So from a marketing perspective, do you think that there's an opportunity to brand Sarasota as Florida's culture coast?
You hear so much about St. Pete, and as far as we feel, we have a lot more arts here, and a lot of different things going on. So we're working on that project right now. The city of Sarasota is having a new logo. I'm trying to get them to get the arts incorporated into that,
right, of course.
And they have a new seal, but, we do feel we are the arts capital of the coast.
What we are seeing here are major public and private investments that position us and define what kind of city and county we will be in the future. Thanks to previous generations of patrons and public stewardship, arts and culture in Sarasota is a priority. Going forward, it is evident that we are committed to this path. Our vision is clear, our plans are sound, and our access to capital is evident. It's time to stake our claim as Florida's culture coast. If you would like more information on arts and culture in Sarasota, click these links. And you can always watch this episode and all our previous episodes on my website, Facebook, and YouTube platforms. That wraps up another one. Hope you learned something and enjoyed the show. Until next time, I'm Suzanne Atwell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you around town.
Atwell Media is a registered, not-for-profit 501c3. If you would like to support local public service programming like this, please visit our website, suzanneatwell.org, to make a tax-deductible donation. Thank you for watching.